Okay, we're going to do the second part of Chapter 5, Ancient Egypt. The Pyramids. The largest tombs were built for the pharaohs. Some pharaohs built tombs called pyramids. The largest pyramid in Egypt is called the Great Pyramid. It was built about 4,500 years ago. It is shaped like a triangle and as tall as a 45-story building. So, pyramids are tombs. About 100,000 people worked 20 years to build it. They used about 2 million blocks of stone in the Great Pyramid. Each stone weighed 2.5 tons. How did the Egyptians build such big buildings without trucks and cranes? They probably used 3 simple machines: the lever, the ramp, and the wedge. The outer surface of the pyramid was covered with pure white limestone. This limestone came from quarries across the Nile in eastern Egypt. Scientists think that each stone was pushed up a ramp. Once the stones were in position, the ramp was built higher. So, many people helped build a pyramid. So, look at this picture. How do you think that Egyptians moved the heavy stones? So, I don't want you to answer that right now. I just want you to look at the picture and think about how they might have moved the heavy stones. The treasure of Tutankhamun. The tombs of the pharaohs were filled with many treasures. Over the centuries, most tombs were robbed or destroyed. One tomb, however, was not robbed. This was the tomb of a pharaoh named Tutankhamun. He was known as the Boy King because he died when he was only 18 years old. Tutankhamun's tomb was discovered in 1922. The king's mummy lay inside a case made of solid gold. A gold mask covered the king's heads. The tomb was also filled with jewelry, furniture, clothes, weapons, and games. Tutankhamun's tomb helped people learn a lot about how people in ancient Egypt lived. So he was also known as King Tut. So, looking at this picture, how does it show that the pharaoh was important? You can't really see, but it's a golden mummy mask. So back then, something being made of gold was very important and showed that the pharaoh was important. Egyptian contributions to civilization. They noticed that the Nile flood arrived at very regular intervals. This gave them the idea that time could be divided into equal periods. From this idea, the Egyptians were able to create a yearly calendar with days, weeks, and months. The Egyptian year, like ours, consisted of 365 days. The Egyptians also made a writing material called papyrus. They made papyrus from plants that grow along the Nile. They glued the stems together and then soaked and dried them. Our word paper comes from the word papyrus. So I'm going to highlight papyrus, and this is a writing material. It's made from plants. The Egyptians invented a kind of writing just as the Sumerians did. The Egyptian writing system is called hieroglyphics or picture writing. This is because Egyptian writing is made up of a series of pictures. Each picture stands for an object, an idea, an action, or a sound. When the pictures are put together, they form a language. You may wonder how people today are able to read hieroglyphics. About 200 years ago, a stone was found half buried in the Egyptian desert. Hieroglyphics were on the stone as well as other languages, including Greek. Scientists were able to use these languages to figure out what the hieroglyphics mean. So I want you to look at this picture. You can see the different pictures. So this was a written language that told a story. The fall of Egypt. For more than 1,000 years, Egypt was a proud and powerful country. The Egyptian people thought that their country would remain powerful forever. However, that did not happen. About 3,000 years ago, Egypt began to grow weak. The pharaohs did not rule the people well. Then a number of floods did not bring enough water for farmers to grow crops. Foreign armies soon began to invade Egypt. In the centuries that followed, Egypt was conquered by people from Mesopotamia. Later, it was conquered by the Greeks and then by the Romans. You will read about the civilizations of ancient Greece and Rome later in this book. Ancient Egypt has left the world many treasures. Today you can visit Egypt and explore the pyramid of a great pharaoh. You can go to a museum and see furniture, clothes, and games that once belonged to the boy king Tutankhamun or King Tut. The ancient Egyptians were more than just great builders. Farmers, artists, government leaders, and builders all worked together to make one of the world's first great civilizations. Okay, that is the end of chapter 5.